Hi there, welcome to another episode of Watch Out, a channel that introduces movies which can scare you to death. In my last episodes you were introduced to 50 really scary movies. Now here are more of them. Number 51. The Mummy is a 1932 American pre-code horror film directed by Carl Freund. The screenplay by John L. Balderston was from a story by Nina Wilcox Putnam and Richard Shea. Released by Universal Studios, the film stars Boris Karloff, Zita Johann, David Manners, Edward Van Sloan and Arthur Byron. The film is about an ancient Egyptian mummy named Imhotep who is discovered by a team of archaeologists and inadvertently brought back to life through a magic scroll. Disguised as a modern Egyptian, the mummy searches for his lost love, whom he believes has been reincarnated into a modern girl. Number 52. Not to be confused with the Ghostbreaker 1914 film, or the Ghostbreaker 1922 film. The Ghostbreakers is a 1940 American mystery horror comedy film directed by George Marshall and starring Bob Hope and Paulette Goddard. It was adapted by screenwriter Walter Delian as the third film version of the 1909 play The Ghostbreaker by Paul Dickey and Charles W. Goddard. A radio broadcaster, his quaking manservant and an heiress investigate the mystery of a haunted castle in Cuba. Number 53. Dead of Night is a 1945 British anthology horror film, made by Ealing Studios. The individual segments were directed by Alberto Cavalcanti, Charles Crichton, Basil Dearden and Robert Harmer. It stars Mervyn Johns, Googie Withers, Sally Ann Howes and Michael Redgrave. The film is best remembered for the concluding story, which features Redgrave and concerns a ventriloquist's malevolent dummy. Architect Walter Craig Mervyn Johns senses impending doom as his half-remembered recurring dream turns into reality. Dreading the end of the dream that he knows is coming, he must first listen to all the assembled guests' own bizarre tales. Number 54. Obsession, released in the USA as The Hidden Room, is a 1949 British crime film directed by Edward Diemeitrich, based on the book A Man About a Dog by Alec Coppell, who also wrote the screenplay for the film. Obsession was entered into the 1949 Cannes Film Festival. The story revolves around Clive Riordan who plans a devilish revenge against his wife's lover. Number 55. The Disembodied is a 1957 horror film directed by Walter Grauman starring Paul Burke, Alison Hayes and John Wengraff. A photographer on an expedition in the jungle runs afoul of a voodoo cult. Voodoo cult is a black religious cult characterized by sorcery and spirit possession. There is another horror movie of 2017 with the same title. Here, teen ham radio enthusiasts hunt for the source of a strange transmission being broadcast in a remote area near Taos, New Mexico. Number 56. Frankensteins Daughter is an independently made 1958 American black and white science fiction horror film drama, produced by Mark Frederick and George Fowley, directed by Richard E. Cunha, that stars John Ashley, Sandra Knight, Donald Murphy, and Sally Todd. The film was distributed by Astor Pictures and was released theatrically as a double feature with Missile to the Moon. The film, set in mid-20th century America, tells the story of the creation of the first female Frankenstein's monster. Number 57. Horror of Dracula with original title Dracula is a 1958 British Gothic horror film directed by Terence Fisher and written by Jimmy Sangster based on Bram Stoker's 1897 novel of the same name. The first in the series of Hammer horror films starring Christopher Lee as Count Dracula, the film also features Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing, along with Michael Gough, Melissa Stribling, Carol Marsh, and John Van Essen. In the United States, the film was retitled Horror of Dracula to avoid confusion with the US original by Universal Pictures, 1931's Dracula. After Jonathan Harker attacks Dracula at his castle, apparently somewhere in Germany, the vampire travels to a nearby city, where he preys on the family of Harker's fiancée. The only one who may be able to protect them is Dr. Van Helsing, Harker's friend and fellow student of vampires, who is determined to destroy Dracula, whatever the cost. Number 58. I Bury the Living is a 1958 horror film directed by famed B-movie director Albert Band, father of Charles Band, and starring Richard Boone and Theodore Bickel. It was written by Louis A. Garfinkel and produced by Garfinkel and Band. I Bury the Living is a bone-chilling little mood piece, almost completed, dominated by Richard Boone. Expertly avoiding the obvious throughout the film, Boone gives a thoroughly credible performance of a troubled man who labors under the misapprehension that he is God. Boone plays the new chairman of a large cemetery. In his office is a map of the grounds, with black pins representing the occupied plots, and white pins representing plots that have been purchased but not yet filled. When Boone inadvertently mixes up the black and white pins, several of the plot owners suffer untimely deaths. Inevitably, Boone becomes convinced that he has the power of life and death, a conviction that doesn't completely dissipate once the secret behind the sudden deaths is revealed. Number 59. The Brain Eaters is a 1958 independently made American black and white science fiction horror film, produced by Ed Nelson and directed by Bruno V. Sota. The film stars Nelson, Alan J. Factor, and Joanna Lee and includes a brief appearance by Leonard Nimoy, name misspelled in film credits as Leonard Nimoy. The inhabitants of a small Illinois town begin disappearing after a strange cone is found sticking out of the ground nearby. The Brain Eaters was distributed by American International Pictures in different film markets as a double feature with either Earth vs. the Spider or Terror from the year 5000. Number 60. Blood of the Vampire is a 1958 British colour horror film directed by Henry Cass and starring Donald Wolfett, Barbara Shelley, and Vincent Ball. The film was produced by Robert S. Baker and Monty Berman for Tempian Films, from a screenplay by Jimmy Sangster. In the late 19th century, the anemic governor of a brutal prison institution, along with his crippled assistant, conducts research on the inmates. Number 61. A spherical UFO proves to contain one alien visitor. How to deal with him? Investigators disagree. An enjoyable late 50s alien invasion movie, The Cosmic Man is an independently made black and white science fiction film, produced by Robert A. Terry and directed by Herbert S. Green. The film stars John Carradine, Bruce Bennett and Angela Green. The narrative concerns an extraterrestrial being who, just as the space age is beginning, comes to Earth bearing a message of interplanetary peace and understanding, only to clash with the military. The Cosmic Man was made by Futura Productions Inc. and was distributed in the US by Allied Artists and in the UK by Associated British Pathé in 1959. Number 62. Black Sunday with the original Italian title La Maschera del Demonio, also known as The Mask of Satan and Revenge of the Vampire in the UK, is a 1960 Italian Gothic horror film directed by Mario Bava from a screenplay by Ennio Da Concini and Mario Sarandre and starring Barbara Steele, John Richardson, Arturo Dominici and Ivo Garani. It was Bava's official directorial debut, although he had completed several previous feature films without receiving an on-screen credit. Based very loosely on Nikolai Gogol's short story, V, the narrative concerns a witch who is put to death by her own brother, only to return 200 years later to seek revenge on her descendants. The title was taken in for a totally different story in 2017. Number 63. The Mask, re-released as Eyes of Hell, is a 1961 Canadian surrealist horror film produced in 3D by Warner Brothers. It was directed by Julian Rothman, and stars Paul Stevens, Claudette Nevins, and Bill Walker. It was shot in Toronto, Ontario and is the first Canadian horror film. A young archaeologist believes he is cursed by a mask that causes him to have weird nightmares and possibly to murder. Before committing suicide, he mails the mask to his psychiatrist, Dr. Barnes, who is soon plunged into the nightmare world of the mask. The visions begin to alter Barnes' personality, and eventually drive him insane. Keep watching Watch Out for another set of interesting movies coming up. Stay safe.